2023 Dynamic Bouldering Championships hosted here at the front in Salt Lake City. My name is Cody Grodsky, and sitting alongside me here is a good friend of mine, Roy Quanstrom. Roy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Cody. It's been quite a week for us. Not only are we commentating for the climbing competition here, but we also set all week for this climbing competition, and we're excited to bring you moment by moment, action-packed climbing competition here on the Wasatch Front. And we're just getting underway, so should be very exciting.
So just a fun few facts for some folks who maybe aren't so familiar with Salt Lake City. About 200,000 people or so, give or take, live in this beautiful city, and about 90% of them live right here in the Wasatch Front. Just behind us, we have the range right here on a crisp, cool night, 41 degrees. We have a completely packed out venue, standing room only at this point. Salt Lake City, headquarters of USA Climbing and the USA Climbing National Team Training Center. And we are going to see some of the world's top athletes, and certainly some of the top athletes here in America. We're looking forward to getting them going here. Roy.
Thanks, Cody. As you can see on the live stream, we've got what is normally the lead prow of this gym here, the front in Salt Lake City. What we've done is erected massive volumes on the lead prow, which you'll see shortly. Just a picture here of the crowd here in Salt Lake City, and more to come. What a great climbing gym here, Cody, just to be able to work here, set here, and work with the team, the staff here at the front. It's been quite an honor.
Oh man, what a wonderful group of people. I mean, the front has been so accommodating. They've done such a good job in all the pre-planning here to get this event going. I mean, if you really think about it, the amount of hours and effort so many people have put into creating this event, just so we can have some of the nation's top athletes performing right in front of our very eyes. Big shout out to Vertical Solutions and the front climbing. And here we go, doing the announcing of the running orders here. We have, coming out first for the boys will be Oscar Bautron, followed by his brother Victor, Xander Waller, Hamish MacArthur, Charlie Barron, and coming in first place out of qualifiers, Ross Fulkerson.
And for the ladies, in the sixth place, we have Zoe Bitters, Chloe Koskoy, Allison Vest, who you just saw run out. We'll welcome on Quinn Mason, who you can see there, throwing some things into the crowd. And coming up next, Charlie Barron coming in, standing with the ladies. Natalia Grossman there, taking her place in line, probably the U.S.'s best female athlete, maybe best athlete in general, as far as climbing is concerned. And Nakaya Sanders coming out, qualifying first in the qualifiers round. Qualifying was very competitive. We had a lot of the nation's best athletes competing against each other to try and make one of these final spots. It was very competitive, very cutthroat, very challenging qualifying round. Would you care to say anything about what that was like?
Yeah, sure. So we held the qualifiers over on the new front climbing facility on South Main, and what a facility it is. 3 stories, climbing on every level. They have a coffee shop, a place where you can get a beer after you finish your session, yoga, jiu-jitsu. I mean, they literally have everything under one roof. And when you look outside, you see that Wasatch Mountain Range, beautiful facility, designed and built by Vertical Solutions. The qualifying round was challenging. I'd say especially more so for the men than the women. We had, seems to be, let's pull up our qualifying rankings here. And yes, it looks like Nakaya, Natalia, Quinn, and Allison all topped all of the boulders. In different attempts, though. We had attempts all over the board. For example, probably the biggest separator was women's 2, in which Nakaya flashed, and it did take Natalia 4 attempts, which is very, very interesting to see, considering someone of Natalia's climbing stature and typically her composure in high-level environments.
Yeah, very well set, I might add, Cody. So what we're seeing here is the observation period. So basically all the competitors get to look and communicate among themselves about what the boulders, how they'll go, how they'll climb, certain things that they'll talk about amongst themselves as far as strategies are concerned. This is where the level of sportsmanship really shines within climbing competition. You can see Ross and Victor there talking about just the specific hip position for that, what will end up being a huge swing. And so this is boulder number 1. Now they're moving on to boulder number 2. Boulder number 2 for the males is going to be maybe their hardest challenge yet between finals and qualifiers. This boulder, men's number 2, is aiming to be quite difficult. I don't know how many of the people watching the live stream climb outside, but this boulder, not a lot of tricks, not a lot of gimmicks, just very, very hard right off the bat. V12 or V13, and we'll see how they manage. You can see Ross Fulkerson there just eyeing up the start. Now they can touch the holds in the start position, which is where all of those tape dashes are. You can see there are 3 pieces of tape on the left volume and 1 to the right. All of those represent an appendage. So 2 hands and 2 feet. Since there's 3 pieces of tape on that left volume, they'll put 3 appendages there, touch them, and a right hand down on the left, or down on the right, I'm sorry. And from there, they'll climb up the boulder. You'll see the yellow tape there. That's a little bit higher on the wall. That's the zone. That's like a field goal in football. It's points, but it's not as many as what will eventually be the top, which you can see way up there on the top of your screen where it says top, a crescent moon hold, where they'll hopefully fly into on a admirable attempt towards the top.
I like that, Roy. And one thing that I wanted to kind of just circle back on that you referenced a little bit about traditional sports, and one thing about rock climbing is that this observation period is quintessentially non-traditional. In how many sports can we discuss that you're actually working through your strategy with the actual people who you will be competing against for this massive $15,000 cash purse?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in so many other sports, the playing field is the field of play. It's a basketball court or a football field, and the 2 teams come out and they compete against each other. Well, here, it's the climber against the climb. And so it actually helps everyone to be able to observe and talk and communicate about the method in which they'll try and succeed on the boulder. They're in many ways not competing against each other, but competing against themselves and the climb that's on the wall. So they all want to succeed, they all want to ascend, they all want to get to the top. And they can really only do that with the help of each other, the intellect and the insight into how they're reading the boulder. Now, reading a boulder is a very interesting thing. That right now they're looking at all of the usable surfaces on the wall and trying to determine how the climb will go, what it's going to take to achieve the zone in the top. Obviously, these climbs are very difficult, but it's our job as route setters to make them not so difficult that no one can do them, but to make them difficult enough to separate the field of competitors. So ideally, we curate through these climbs a winner of this climbing competition. And within that, we try to challenge them fairly, safely, and without any obvious advantages amongst themselves other than their innate climbing and the amount of work they've put into their training.
That's right, and I'd like to clarify too, just for the folks at home who may be a little bit more unfamiliar with competition bouldering, we really are looking to see who is the best athlete at this given time, and giving them a variety of climbing styles, a variety of tempos, movements, hold choices, lots and lots of decision makings, questions that we are asking them to complete under the lights, under the pressure, in a 4-minute time frame. And a couple of things that I just wanted to point out here is maybe some interesting and more unique scenarios that you might not necessarily see at a higher level national championship or a World Cup, for example. We are, for those of you who may have noticed, sharing a boulder problem. So women's 1 will also be men's 3. There will be no tweaks made in between this boulder problem, between genders. They are going to compete on exactly the same boulder. Should be a very, very interesting scenario. We're very much looking forward to seeing the results of this situation.
Thanks, Cody. Yeah, that is going to be a unique experience for the viewers and the climbers themselves. I know even for us as route setters, it'll be interesting to see how this ends up.
And very quickly before we get started, we have begun here on men's 1 and women's 1. Quick thank you to our sponsors, the Front Climbing, Vertical Solution, Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Cakes, Price Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, and CE Solar. Thank you all very much. And what do we have here on men's 1? We have a top. A top right away by Oscar Beaudrand.
Zoe Bitters on Boulder 1 just gave her first attempt. This is the shared boulder. So, yeah, definitely very interested in seeing what happens here on this boulder. Second attempt there to zone. Just sliding off of that volume. And Zoe's third attempt coming right up. Oh, so close. That this hold that she's going to, the zone hold, this is maybe a millimeter thick. It's a very bad hold. Most of her weight is going to be in her feet, and as you can see, she's running across these volumes trying to grab this hold, and she's achieved it there. And that hold that she's going to is just as bad, if not worse. So the idea here is that you have your start position, you get to zone, and that is as difficult as it can be, and then from zone to the top is even more difficult. And so these boulder problems are progressive in difficulty, and so we'll just see how this goes from here.
And Zoe Bitters dialing in this move on this 5-degree slab. Oh, and her fit just slips off that blue pill volume.
I mean, Cody, that volume it's certainly a protruding piece of usable surface on the wall, but it's certainly not good. It looks like maybe we have a blood technical here. Bleeding is unfortunately a part of the sport. It's up to the athlete to stop that, which you can see here. It seems good to the judges for her to proceed, and so she will.
Zoe Bitters, certainly a hometown favorite here. Cruising to the zone, and just going a little bit too fast to that next hold. One minute left on the clock here for Zoe Bitters. Crowd is certainly behind her.
You know, just because you do something once doesn't necessarily mean you can do it over and over and over again. And it would be easy to watch the live stream and think, well, you know, how could you fall after you've done it again and maybe even multiple times? But it just goes to show how difficult some of these climbs are, how low percentage some of these moves can be. It's not guaranteed that because you make it so far on a boulder problem that you can get there consistently over and over again. And thankfully we have Zoe continuing up the wall.
10 seconds. She's got to act fast. And she makes the top. The crowd erupts. Zoe Bitters in the nick of time.
Buzzer beater for Zoe Bitters.
Up next, we have U.S. national athlete Chloe Koskoy competing right alongside Oscar's brother Victor. Let's see if Victor can figure out the same sequence to men's one as his brother. Looks like he certainly does. And the brothers Boudrand taking home a quick top to each of them, flashing the boulder problem.
And Zoe getting to zone on her first attempt here on women's number one. Easy jump to the finish on the slab. Great work for Chloe Koskoy.
Those athletes certainly made quick work of their first boulder problems. Coming up next for the men, we have Xander Waller out of Atlanta, Georgia, and Allison Vest, one of our neighbors to the north from Canada.
And we've got Allison Vest and Xander Waller just getting ready to pull on to their respective boulder number one.
Smart competitors going right away to brushing the holds. You know, these holds, over time, they just cake up with chalk and shoe rubber, and it really does make a difference, especially at this level, to make sure that those holds are as crisp as possible. Xander underway. Floats the king swing. Allison Vest taking a shot. Xander grabbing the volume, fist crimping. And he gets the top. Xander Waller. And we are 3 for 3 on flashes on men's one.
Xander Waller, junior national champion this year. Put on quite a show in Chicago this year. And now we have Allison Vest giving another attempt on women's one, the shared boulder on the slab.
Roy, it was a pleasure working with you in Chicago this year for the 2022 Youth Nationals in Arlington Heights, just outside of Chicago. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about the level, the difference between, you know, what it might take for Xander to win, let's say, a Youth National Championship versus this, which is an Open Pro Championship here in Salt Lake City.
Well, there's a lot that goes into that, mostly because as Allison gets zone on Boulder 1, the sport is getting younger and younger in terms of the elite athletes that are rising to the top in the elite category. And while the level might be not that different from youth nationals, I will say that we've taken a few more liberties with the boulders here, just in how hard they can be. Mostly because I think the level is a little more consistent right at the top. There's a lot of really good climbers, as Allison Falls on Women's One. A lot of very good climbers on the pro circuit that are all about the same level. And as a result, we have to make the boulders harder and harder. And it just goes to show that because we have 3 flashes on Boulder 1, that these are very, very elite climbers. We'll see how the rest of Boulder 1 goes and move on to Boulder 2 and hopefully get a little more separation.
Allison Vest pulling on the wall with just over a minute remaining. Does the stutter step and smoothly stomps.
Dialed.
Her right foot is just barely stepping on that textured surface. Trying to drive home on that very small damage control foot. It is very slopey. Oh, and she tries to go dynamic. Risky maneuver for something that is so precise.
Yeah, I think trying to do that in coordination is possibly not the best idea. You really want to paste on that final foot and drive over it. It would be very hard to target trying to swing the foot through as she did. So we'll see. Last ditch effort here.
For sure her last attempt. 10 seconds left on the clock. Allison Vest. And she does it. Allison Vest, just like Zoe Bitters before her, in the nick of time, completes Women's One. What a show. Next up, we have USAC national athlete Quinn Mason and Hamish MacArthur, straight from the UK, coming here to Salt Lake City, Utah to show us his stuff. Hamish getting swinging. Oh, saves it. Still on his flash attempt. And he saves it. Hamish MacArthur. Wonderful, wonderful performance to zone. And Hamish MacArthur with the 4th flash on men's number 1. I can't imagine we'd see anything different from the next 2 performers in the men's field, Charlie Barron and Ross Fulkerson, who climbed at such an elite level yesterday on the qualifiers.
Well, it's interesting because Charlie Barron and Ross Fulkerson now have more pressure to flash, given that the rest of the field has. So we'll see how the rest of the boulders go, but it puts Charlie and Ross in an interesting situation as Quinn executes through to that final move on the slat. We'll see how she does on this final attempt to zone, and that left foot slips and she kind of just crumbles off of the boulder.
Quinn battling a bit of an ankle injury she suffered not so long ago in some of her training. Makes you wonder if that might have had something to do with that kind of sudden and surprising foot slip. And back to what you were saying, Roy, about pressure on the next 2 competitors in the men's field. The men's field is not allowed to watch one another compete on these boulder problems. Once they leave the mats, they go back into isolation, are unable to watch the competitors prior or post. That said, with a crowd this loud, you know when the climber before you has sent a boulder. And it's very easy to tell also and the timeliness in which they have sent that boulder. So you can quickly do the math and understand that, oh wow, the past 4 competitors who have come before me, they're back in ISO very quick, crowd erupted, 1 + 1 = 2, and here we are, we have 4 flashes, 2 more competitors to go for the men's field.
That's very true, and I feel as though given the way that the rest of the competitors have done on Boulder 1, I would expect nothing less than Charlie and Ross to also flash, but you know, you never know, and with some of these competitions, one little mistake can mean everything in one of these rounds. And with so much money on the line, you never know what sort of emotions they're feeling back in ISO as Quinn continues up this slab.
She's been here before. She knows how bad this left foot is. You're watching her very carefully weight it, put as much of the shoe rubber as she possibly can, but she knows she has to explode off that foot if she has any chance at the top. And she does. Quinn Mason, ladies and gentlemen, with 30 seconds left in the round.
It's a pretty good fight out of Quinn Mason on that attempt. Glad to see that she got a top out of it. That was a lot of attempts, though, to get to the top there. We'll see how that affects her going through the round.
Folks at home might be wondering, so why don't these competitors grab onto the arete on either the left or right side of this slab wall? Well, to the untrained eye, you might just notice a raw arete, but if you look very carefully, you'll see black tape, a bead of black tape running all the way up and down the 16 feet of that slab wall on either side, and that black tape demarcates a no-fly zone for the competitors. They are not allowed to reach around and touch anything on the other side of that arete, which makes that climb that much more difficult, and they must utilize only the holds that are given to them.
And here we have Natalia Grossman on women's number 1 on the shared boulder. Natalia is a pretty dominant athlete on the World Cup circuit. It's an honor to have her here at this climbing competition, adding to the list of greats in USA climbing history. Multiple World Cup wins, a world champion, and here she is on display in Salt Lake at Dynamic Bouldering competition.
Ross Fulkerson, first going the Tarzan swing. One more flash for Charlie, and he is psyched. And a second go for Natalia. Fantastic effort.
Charlie Barron representing the great state of Montana here in Salt Lake. Montana, stand up.
Last up and qualifying first, Ross Fulkerson competing alongside Nakaya Sanders. What is sure to be an exciting last 2 competitors on their final boulder problem of the evening. Nakaya Sanders brushing those holds. 5 other competitors before her running across those volumes. She herself attempting to figure it out. Ross brushing the finish. Now we must expect a flash here out of Ross Fulkerson.
I would agree, Cody. It would be surprising if he didn't, given the last competitors, their ability on this boulder. Ross is also especially good at this style, a quintessential athletic style.
Oh my goodness, and Ross Fulkerson falling off the first move, the first competitor so far to do so. Honestly, a shock for us here in the booth, but also for all the folks spectating. Let's see if he can dial it in here for the second go.
Well, that's part of coming out last and qualifying in first for the final round. You have to wait and watch and observe what everyone else does, and it takes a lot as a competitor to be able to sit through all of that, watch everyone essentially flash the boulder, and luckily he's able to top it on his second attempt. So it's up to the rest of the round. Ross needs to represent himself well in order to overcome that fall, as Nakaya continues to make attempts on women's one.
For those of you a little bit more unfamiliar with the way competition bouldering scoring works, these climbers coming out in reverse order of qualification. Nakaya, for example, coming out in first place, climbing last. If there were for some reason to be a tie across the board in finals, Nakaya would in fact win, or whoever qualified the highest would win and be that tiebreaker. So interestingly enough, for Ross, to his own detriment, with his 2 attempts, is now gone from first to last place fairly quickly.
Based on 1 attempt. It's pretty incredible.
How fine is that line?
Very fine, Cody.
Nakaya Sanders, Poison Grace. Setting up for the big move at the top. Oh, and she just slips off that foot in a similar fashion to Quinn. Nakaya with about 1 minute and 20 left on the clock. She knows she needs to perform here. She's heard all of the screams and cheers from the tops of competitors before her. Let's see what she's got with 1 minute 10 remaining. Shout out to Nakaya Sanders' mom. She travels around everywhere with the Sanders family, supporting and doing her best to give all of her everything to her daughters and their climbing careers. Shout out to Mom. And honestly, Mom's everywhere.
Shout out, Mom.
Nakaya just sticking it with a little flare at the end. She's got 35 seconds remaining. She's been here before. She knows what she needs to do. Nakaya setting up. Oh, goodness. And now she's rushed.
That's about as close as it gets, Cody.
It sure does, Roy. 15 seconds. Stabs the stutter step. This is going to be another photo finish. Nakaya Sanders with 10 seconds remaining. 7, 5. Oh! And I think the pressure just got to her. If she had a few more seconds to recover and take a breath, we may have seen a different result.
Very true, and it's interesting that both of our top finalists in this round have fallen to last place on the first boulder.
Fair point, Roy. We have our second boulders underway. And as we do so, quick shout out again to our sponsors, the Front Climbing Vertical Solution, Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Cakes, Price Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, and CE Solar. Thank you all so much for making this competition a reality.
Really excited to see the athletes here on their second boulders. The men trying to do this extremely physical and tenuous boulder. Not quite as dynamic or high flying as the first one, but extremely difficult. On the women's side, women's number 2, we have a difficult start position here, sort of intended to be toilsome, and then a powerful move out to this big red hold, and then a hard mantle finish, which is essentially like getting out of a very difficult pool, pressing up and getting on top of that ledge. And so
we've all been there before, haven't we?
Absolutely, Cody.
Zoe Bitters, crowd favorite, establishing on the start, just dry firing off that left side. And Roy, I did want to say, I don't know if I said this to you earlier, you did a fantastic job here on women's too. Fantastic, beautiful boulder problem.
Well, thank you very much. ultimately, it's up to the competitors to express themselves and make the boulders what they are. But the way that the holds end up on the wall and the difficulty therein is a product of the route setting and the team of route setters. And I'm honored to be a part of it.
And the team of route setters, just to give a little bit of a shout out to them, we have Chief Eddie Marias, who did a fantastic job leading us throughout the week. He is the director of route setting here at the front climbing. Such an integral component, cog to this huge machine of the front, and just really, really such a valuable member to our team. We also had, of course, Roy Quanstrom, out of Fort Collins, Colorado. We had Merto Asuncion, also right here out of Salt Lake, as Zoe Bitters sticks the zone, bringing her heel up. We have Mike Bacchino, route setting program manager for USA Climbing, also a former member here at the front, and myself, Cody Grodzki. As Zoe Bitters sinks into that heel, stands up, pistol squatting off that left foot, trying to find whatever purchase she can to achieve that top. And that top is not much of a climbing hold. It's going to rely all on balance. Will she do it? Zoe Bitters, and the crowd goes wild. Zoe Bitters, ladies and gentlemen.
That's how you do that one, Cody. And Oscar remains on the pads to continue to try men's two. A near impossible boulder problem. And only the best will be able to succeed on this one.
Right you are, and there's an electricity in the air with 30 seconds remaining. A bit of frustration coming out of the young Canadian. Ten seconds remaining for Oscar. He's got to press it out. He hears the buzzer. Oh, and just doesn't quite latch the zone.
And so the way that you score a zone is you have to use the hold. So you saw Oscar reaching up and slapping at that zone hold. That's just not going to cut it in order to score the zone. You have to actually grab the hold and use it in order to make that a scoreable attempt. So unfortunately for Oscar, he did not score a zone, at least on that attempt.
Right you are, and such a fine line that can be. The judges that we have here are exceptional at what they do. Meredith, as the jury president, effectively running all of the judging here for the Dynamic Bouldering Comp in 2023. She has a tremendous amount of experience, runs a very tight ship when it comes to judging. If there was an issue, possibly in the scoring or use of a zone, control of a top, these judges will be on it. They will review. There will be appeals. We do our absolute best to make sure that all of the climbers are rewarded for the athletics that they are performing here in front of us today.
We have Chloe making quick work into zone and attempting for the top of this boulder into the mantle sequence, while we have Victor trying to get through this press and coming up short for his attempt to zone. This press on the women's side is extremely physical. This is a very uncomfortable position to be in.
It's like Chloe using the alpine knee. You don't see that every day, Roy.
Staying patient here through the stand-up, not trying to fall on her flash attempt. And there you go.
Chloe Koskoy, wonderful effort. And you can tell she's psyched right now.
And then there was Victor on the pads, continuing to try to make zone on this boulder. Extremely physical.
Let's see if he can have a little more success than his brother. Oh, and basically replicating the experience. Makes you wonder, do they train together? Do they have the same strengths? Do they have the same weaknesses? Only time will tell.
And Victor pulling on for yet another attempt on boulder number 2. Let's see how he fares. That hold that he's going to is pretty terrible.
Pretty terrible. I'd say it's probably comparable to the zone hold on women's 1. The interesting thing about it, though, is that whereas the slab on women's 1 is at a negative 5-degree angle, and you have fairly positive feet to, once you create your momentum to stop, in this situation you're relying completely on your side body, your core, your shoulders, obliques. There's a lot of lateral side body tension while also latching a blocked crimp. Not an easy maneuver at all.
Absolutely not. And you can see how terrible this hold is that he's grappling through. There's no foot on that volume. It's only sloped. You need to go into this with complete control.
The interesting thing that he hasn't quite figured out, similar to his brother with seconds left, he's actually pasting his right foot on the farthest left portion of that volume. He needs to put it, there we go, his right foot on the upper portion. And just not quite the right body position. And what we discovered in forerunning is that having your right foot on the upper portion of that volume is actually what you need to create that angle, to press out, and then achieve that zone hold statically. Otherwise, it is a very, very, very difficult hold to latch, much less control through that movement pattern.
Absolutely, Cody. And now we have Xander Waller just brushing up that crimp, as well as Allison Vest making sure that all of the holds are clean and able to use for their attempts. Be interesting to see Xander on this men's 2 boulder. He's quite good at this physical style, a pretty strong lad, and quite good at this style. So I'm eager to see what he can do, at least the ability to make zone here.
For those of you that are wondering, what are those volumes that we have on the wall? Those are custom made, custom paid, and custom fitted by Vertical Solutions. They are massive. Just like Xander Waller going huge, controlling that zone on his first attempt.
Big kick up to this volume. Let's see if he can stick this.
The flexibility and power. Nearly a drop knee and just can't rotate enough over his hips to achieve that left hand.
That is a really difficult position to be able to pull through on. As Allison Vest continues to try this difficult jump.
The style from Allison Vest.
Yeah, I love that idea there, swinging underneath and swinging out towards the crowd. I hope that she continues to try that. I hope that it works.
You know what's interesting about competition climbing and competition route setting, and I'll speak for you here a little bit, I'm sure you'll agree, is that, you know, we're creating these boulder problems, and a lot of times people look at them as binary. You know, it's a 1 or 0, either a do or a don't. But the reality is we're creating environments, we're creating situations, we're asking questions. And what's really supposed to shine through is the climbers' way about them. What are their experience? How are they going to perceive this challenge ahead of them? And that's what's really, really special about competition rock climbing, competition bouldering in particular. There's just so much nuance and style that a climber can showcase throughout their experience. As we have Allison nearing the top. Oh, she just goes a little too fast and just can't lock off that left leg pistol squat like she needed to do, as the climbers before her have done.
Yeah, these climbers are extremely creative in the way that they go about trying to send all these boulder problems, and you may see generally the same beta, but even the nuances and the subtleties of that climber to climber is going to be very different. And now Allison trying to get back to that place that she just was to attempt for that top. She's already gained zone. All she needs is a top here. Then we have Xander Waller to your right, continuing to try to get to the top of this boulder. That is quite difficult the way that he's trying to do that. In forerunning, we did it in a slightly different way, pressing out the left hand and hand-foot matching. So the ability for him to even try to get his foot up there in this fashion speaks a lot to his strength and his ability as a climber.
Couldn't agree more, Roy.
Thanks, Cody.
15 seconds remaining on the clock. Xander giving it one more attempt. And looks like he's going to call it. Allison as well. And here we have the men's pro final. Rankings on the screen here for you. Followed by the women's.
Chloe with 2 flashes. It's quite good.
Quite good. Chloe is also quite a good climber. Training at the National Team Training Center here just down the road, a couple blocks away. She knows competition style and she knows how to execute. Quinn Mason rushing down the holds right alongside her counterpart for the evening, Hamish MacArthur. Let's see if Hamish has any more success on this boulder problem than the folks before him. Quinn making quick work of the start, sitting delicately on that flat hold fiberglass. Just not quite latching that golden leaf fiberglass volume, which is the zone hold.
Yeah, that's a really off-balance jump towards the big red hold, the golden leaf there. Both of those holds are quite bad, and most of the weight of your body is on your feet. And so the inability to generate with your hands and forcing all of that power through the feet makes it difficult to orient your body in the right direction towards the finish hold or the desired hold there in the hold that Mason just got. And now we'll get to see Mason attempt a top here. What she's doing here is called a mantle, which is simply going from underneath something to on top of something. And she happens to be quite good at mantling, so we'll see how she fares. And good patience here from Mason as she attempts for that top hold, and it looks like she's going to get it. Good job by Mason, good patience, good execution, an upstanding competitor, and hopefully that heel of hers is okay.
Hamish controlling the zone, making work of the secondary. Bringing out that left foot, and we have a high point here so far. Making good use of that blocks mini board. Very powerful position. Trying to find the position off of that dual tex. Going big to the top and just drops it.
And that was actually the very intention for that move, was to try and create a little bit of confusion, a little bit of apprehension around gunning for that final hold. And we hope that Hamish can get up there and give another attempt here within the last 50 seconds. But part of competition climbing is the difficulty, but also the confusion of the climb itself. And I can say that the ending of this boulder problem is very, very confusing.
And nothing is worse for a competition rock climber than confusing and powerful while you're tired with 30 seconds left on the clock, which is just the situation that Hamish MacArthur is faced with here. 20 seconds now left on the clock. He has been here before. He does know what to do. Brings the left foot out, achieves the mini board. The crowd is behind him with 10 seconds left. The match, he goes big, oh, and just drops the top once again. Hamish MacArthur, valiant effort.
Definitely a good effort there, Cody. And man, we were trying this finish earlier today, and it's really hard and also really terrifying to be up there. I know that the camera views are top down, but when you find yourself in the position as these climbers are in, gunning for that finish hold, you really just have to make the decision to go for the final hold or back down, because it's pretty scary up there, to be honest.
And I'll tell you what, these athletes are all seasoned, many of them regulars on the World Cup circuit. They will not back down with this $15,000 cash purse on the line. For a little bit of perspective for those of you at home, the finish hold of this men's 2 boulder is just shy of the 4th quick draw on this Salt Lake City front gym's lead wall. So you do the math on that, what that might feel like to you. Charlie Barron doing some funky press beta here on men's 2. Natalia making quick work of zone. She is in her element. She knows she needs to turn it on. She has been in these situations before with it all on the line.
And you can see she started with a heel in that and then quickly switched it to a toe. That is the way you want to do this move. It speaks a lot to her tenure as a competition climber, sort of shifting around heel to toe here, trying to figure out what's the best method for standing up out of this golden leaf as she slips out of that dish and onto the pads, forced to make a second attempt on women's number 2.
Pretty shocking.
Honestly, Cody, I'm shocked.
As you should be, with Chloe Koskoy just before her, flashing this boulder problem, putting a lot of pressure now on Natalia to perform, not only on this here women's 2, but also on boulders 3 and 4 yet to come. And an interesting thing about, and another attempt. Interesting thing about both women's and men's 4 is that although the climbers were allowed to preview boulders 1, 2, and 3, we do have a special thing whipped up for those 4th boulder problems in which no climber will have seen, the audience will not have seen, viewers at home will not have seen. And yet another fall from our very own Natalia Grossman.
Yeah, this is pretty surprising. I know that after yesterday's qualifiers, Natalia specifically wanted these boulders to be harder, as she did all of them yesterday. And I wonder what she's thinking now, about to give a multitude of attempts on a boulder 2 in which other climbers have topped. We'll see how she does for the rest of the round, this last 1 minute or so.
Charlie Barron hanging out on that crimp, which is so impressive. Being up there earlier today, let me tell you, I mean, honestly, I don't need to tell you of all people, right, but that hold is not very good. And he made quick work, little quick chalk up, and now he's onward, about to achieve. Oh, and he just falls off the top. Just like Hamish MacArthur before him, he needs a little bit more juice. Natalia approaching, standing up in that pistol squat position. That wall is slightly overhanging, curved out. It gets steeper the higher she goes.
Will we have a top here? Yes, we will.
We will. The crowd erupts. Natalia Grossman with 19 seconds left on the clock.
And we have yet to see a male competitor stick the finish of men's number 2. We've had 2 competitors gun for the top and not one to succeed in sticking the top hold. So we'll see how Ross Fulkerson can fare, our last competitor on the wall for the men's category on boulder number 2.
And a quick shout out to sponsors again, the Front Climbing Vertical Solutions. Visit Salt Lake. Kodiak Cakes, Price Right Real Estate, La Sportiva, East Solar. Thank you all very much. I'm actually enjoying a Uinta hazy IPA right now. Delicious, Roy.
I couldn't agree more, Cody. We got Ross Fulkerson on men's number 2, as well as Nakaya Sanders on women's Boulder number 2. We'll see how both of them fare. And we are actually just getting started here at the front in Salt Lake at the dynamic bouldering competition. Cody, what are your thoughts so far about halfway through the climbing competition?
I'll say there's just been surprises left, right, and center. There's really no telling who could be out in front with 2 boulders remaining. We know what we've seen so far, but as far as making estimations or prediction moving forward, I do really feel that this cash purse is up for grab.
Yeah, at this point, it's really anyone's competition. I would not be surprised to see Ross do well on this boulder. He's quite a physical climber, good in these strenuous situations. As he falls on his flash attempt there on boulder number 2, Nakaya Sanders just falling off the zone hold there. So, yeah, we'll see halfway through. It's definitely anyone's competition.
And just a kind of quick reminder on the level of these climbs. These are not your standard commercial climbing gym boulder problems. These are set for some of the most elite athletes in the world, designed for them to showcase their skill sets. If we were to put a V grade on something, which I'll be honest with you, Roy, I'm really not a huge proponent of putting a V grade on competition-style bouldering problems for a plethora of reasons. But if we were to put V grades on some of these climbs, Roy, what would you tell folks at home?
Well, Cody, as you said, it's hard to say. All I can say is that all of these athletes out here on the men and the women's side are climbing from V12 to V16, so they have 4 minutes to climb each of these boulders. I'll leave it up to your imagination to decide how hard an individual of that caliber can climb what grade in 4 minutes. I'll let you know that it's pretty outstanding, the level that these climbers are able to execute within a short amount of time, regardless of the grade, regardless of the difficulty. It's pretty incredible given the pressures and the difficulty of these boulders, what they can do and what they can showcase.
Ross Fulkerson under the lights with 1:12 remaining. Will he do it? He's going for the dual text. There's nothing to be found. He has to commit. Will he commit and go big? Smart competitor taking his time, getting a bit of chalk. He knows what he needs to do. 50 seconds left. Nakaya's taking the zone. Ross approaching the stop of what will probably be his last attempt. Oh, and he just comes out of the top.
You think he'll get another in, Cody?
I think, honestly, Ross is a very smart competitor. He probably will call it, and he does. With that little amount of time remaining, it just doesn't make a lot of sense for him to try to achieve the top. The likelihood of him getting through is slim to none due to the slow physicality of the boulder. But we have Nakaya here with 15 seconds left, going slow and steady, trying to get a little bit of shoe rubber on her right side, balancing off that left. Has to let go with her right, though. She's seemingly unwilling. Oh, and she goes too fast. Nakaya Sanders, valiant effort there. And that is it for women's 2, men's 2. Roy, thoughts?
I'm honestly quite surprised that none of the men were able to pull off this boulder, men's number 2. I mean, it was extremely difficult, but it's in a style that I thought would be pretty conducive to their strengths. It's just that last final move. It kind of made the difference for those male competitors.
And so now, for those of you who were tuning in earlier, women's 1 is now men's 3. Nothing has changed. The boulder is identical in every way, shape, and form. Let's see the difference in performance here by these athletes. We are in for a show.
And Oscar with his first attempt on men's 3 on the slab. He slips off the volume there with his right foot. These slabs are interesting. They don't need to be hyper difficult in order for them to have an effect that makes one do just as what Oscar just did, which is lose balance, slip on the feet, make some even minor error and slide off. In fact, a lot of climbers agree that the slab, which is a lower angle terrain, less than vertical, is even more difficult than that of a steeper roof. Mostly because of the subtlety and the necessity for excellent technique on the slab, which is why we chose this wall to be the shared boulder problem between men and women. And we have Zoe on women's number 3. Interesting start position as Oscar achieves zone on men's number 3. As Zoe attempts this jump move, which you simultaneously have to jump your right hand in the position of the hold on the volume there, as well as plant your feet on the wall itself in order to gain opposition on the hold. It's a coordinated move. It's a physical move, and it requires the best of these competitors. We'll see how they fare.
One minute and 35 seconds left on the clock for Zoe Bitters and Oscar Beaudrand. Let's see what they've got. Here we go with Oscar sticking the move to the zone. Very delicate, matching that terrible zone hold. Just about the size of just over a dime or so. He knows he needs to do this last move with a minute left. And he does it, sticking it with 57 seconds left. Zoe Bitters feeling the pressure now. The only one on the pads, pulling on the start. Pogoing, sticking the move, Zoe Bitters. Pulling up on that Rock City hold, sinking the heel hook, achieving the zone. Zoe Bitters digging deep. Will she keep it calm, cool, and collected? Trying to smear on that Vertical Solutions custom volume, but just not quite enough left in the tank. Maybe feeling a little bit of the pressure there, but the crowd still loves her. Coming up next in first place so far in our pro final for the women's round, Chloe Koskoy climbing alongside Beaudrand, Oscar's brother. Let's see how he does. And the climbers turning back around, looking at the boulder problems that they have already seen once before. Men's 3, women's 3. Victor and Chloe climbing alongside one another. Chloe very, very good at this physical, dynamic style. Oh, and Victor going for the toe hook method. We did forerun that method plenty of times, and it works very well. Chloe Koskoy flashing that one-handed kick stomp on that very low texture Vertical Solutions lead wall, achieving the zone. Victor sticking the toe hook method, achieving the zone. We have back-to-back climbers high on the wall with 3 minutes remaining. Both climbers going slow. They have the focus. Will we see dueling tops? Chloe Koskoy, Victor Bertrand. Oh, goodness, and Chloe just dropping the top. But Victor securing the deal with 2 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. Fantastic effort by the young Canadian. Chloe Koskoy getting some words of encouragement by her cohort, Victor. She knows she can do this boulder. She flashed all the way to the top, but just dropping. Really, really excited at what she can put together here with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and we'll see on this next attempt from Chloe. Got to bring a lot of heart into it. It's hard to fall from so high, but it's up to Chloe to climb back up there and give another attempt. Hopefully she can top.
Big shout out to these Vertical Solutions volumes, allowing us to create these possibilities. We brought these things in just a few days ago. It took the route setting team just over 14 hours to install these 5 volumes alone. It was no small effort, but worth every single second to see these athletes perform. Let's see what Chloe Koskoy has with 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining, smearing on nothing with her right foot, heel hooking the left, achieves the top of the left hand, pinching, she gets the top, Chloe Koskoy. That is your first place competitor right now moving into women's 4. Chloe Koskoy with such a fantastic effort.
Excellent effort from Chloe there at the top of women's 3. I can attest that that is a very precarious position to be in. It's really easy to wash out and slide out of all those holds, and her ability to keep it together, maintain composure, and grab that top hold with both hands shows just how excellent of a competitor she is.
Absolutely, Roy. And up next, we have, for the men's field, Xander Waller climbing right alongside Allison Beth. We have the rankings here for you to view. Very, very interesting scenarios unfolding right before our very eyes. And here we go. Something very methodical about the way these elite athletes approach boulder problems. Myself, growing up as a hockey player, a lot of times hockey players have rituals, specifically goaltenders, where they will do the exact same warm-up every single time. The same strides, the same stretches, the same types of saves. Everything is identical. Some say it's superstition, some say it's just the style. Either way, these folks live by it, tried and true. And there's got to be something to their performance that gets them consistently to this level. Xander Waller making the first move and just dropping that zone. So much going on with that one movement to zone, Roy.
Yeah, and you talk about rituals, Cody, and I sometimes feel like when I'm brushing a hold, I can understand that hold through the brush. And I think that that's oftentimes why these athletes brush the holds as Xander sticks the zone with the toe hook. Very nice style there. But there's something to brushing a hold, not only to take the chalk and the grease off the hold, but also to kind of study it and dissect that hold, exactly how I want to use it. That aids in the attempts of these athletes. As you see Xander crossing up on this tenuous slab, trying to grab that crimp, maintaining patience and composure. And we'll see how Xander does on this last move to the finish jug, as Allison tries that pogo again up to the very bad hold on the underside of that volume. You have to simultaneously grab the hold and stomp your foot into the wall itself in order to maintain usable surface on that hold.
And Xander Waller still trying to figure out what he wants to do. 35 seconds has gone by since he's achieved this penultimate hold, this damage control, just about the width of 2 dimes stacked together. And he just drops it. You can see it in his face and his reaction, body language. He just simply slipped off. And that just goes to show you the level of difficulty, of risk, complexity that is going on here in these boulder problems. With a minute 30 remaining, Allison West smearing on nothing, absolute nothing on those vertical solutions. Oh, and just slips off.
And you know, I would ask Xander, what's the use in waiting? You know what the top hold is. You know what you're going to. You know how bad the foot is. Why wait? That would be my question for Xander. We'll see if he can get to the top on this attempt. Hopefully he takes a little less time as he falls off, and will need to make another attempt in his final minute.
Interesting strategy here by Xander Waller. He knows this move. He's dialing it in. But he's spending a tremendous amount of attempts trying to get to zone. And honestly, what happens with that is your heart rate increases tremendously. It makes doing these slow moves that much more difficult. Now he has about 35 seconds left to achieve this top hold. I'd probably say that this could very likely be his last attempt. Allison Vest just barely missing, sticking that right pogo hold. Xander with 20 seconds left. He's been here before. Left foot has to go up and drive through the hole with as much rubber as he can. And he does it. Xander Waller, you can see the relief, the head kick back. Very relieved to have done that boulder with such little time remaining.
And we'll see how the scoring matches up, but you know that Xander would have liked to do that in less time, and certainly he could have.
Absolutely, attempts are really, really the bread and butter here. Looking quickly at the pro final rankings, Chloe Koskoy, Zoe Bitters, Quinn Mason so far rounding out your podium, with Natalia, Allison, and Nakaya at the bottom. But we still have some climbing remaining, about a half left in the field, so those rankings will shuffle, I would imagine, quite tremendously if anything happens with the next 3 competitors in achieving zone or the top hold.
And I would venture to guess that Hamish will have no issue with this slab. We'll see how Quinn does with this jump up to this non-hold on the underside of this volume.
Hamish going quickly, skipping over the triangle volume completely. First time we've seen that out of any competitor in either field. Very bold strategy.
Certainly that, Cody, and as you can see, Hamish working his way methodically and slowly up on this slab, and we'll see how he does on his attempt at this finish jug.
Here comes Quinn setting up for that right arm pounce. Looks like she didn't get her legs out from under her. Hamish with a flash with nearly 3 minutes remaining. Now, Roy, what does that mean for Hamish moving to boulder number 4?
You know, I think anytime you get to flash a boulder with, and the style in which Hamish just flashed that boulder, it's only going to help going into boulder 4, feeling confident, feeling like all systems are going. I expect to see Hamish come out on boulder 4 and give us a very good showing and a valiant attempt.
Right, I would absolutely agree. Both a physical and a psychological component that goes into this. Physically, he's now allowed to rest for an additional 3 minutes that his other counterparts were not able to do. Quinn just missing that kick step. But also psychologically, moving forward, flashing a boulder problem, having all of the confidence, knowing so far that you are the only person to have done so, is such an invigorating situation, and allows you to come into boulder 4 with confidence that you may not otherwise have had you not done the boulder, had you not achieved the zone. It's very, very exhilarating. I mean, I can attest to this, as I'm sure you can too, when you're forerunning. you know, you're testing different moves and different patterns, different situations, and you're nearly driving your head through the wall trying to make a situation work. And then when it finally works, when you finally achieve that move, you feel this rush, this wind that you get that propels you forward and allows you to continue doing the job that you need to do to set this level of competition rock climbing.
I completely agree, Cody, and I think the word that comes to mind is unstoppable. And right now, I would say that Hamish is just that. Unable to be stopped, and it will all come down to Boulder 4 as Quinn somehow manages to get to the zone hold on women's number 3, jumping up to that sloper, backing down, recollecting. We'll see if she has a good go for the top here with 40 seconds remaining.
Quinn Mason achieving the zone, 35 seconds, wrapping that Rock City sloper, smearing on nothing, trying to get the toe in. I think she needs the heel. She's getting a little chalk back. This is a great, great strategy. Creeping up higher, left hand controlling. Oh, she backs down, knowing that she needs to find a different position. Running down the clock, 15 seconds. Trying to find a better position, cheating up a little higher on that right foot. 5 seconds, just about. Oh, goodness.
Absolutely heartbreaking, Cody. We're all rooting for Quinn. We all want her to top, and to see her slip there at the end, absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sure she feels it. Fortunately, she has another boulder ahead of her. But for anyone, especially these elite competitors, that is a difficult thing to bounce back from.
Absolutely, and although the competitors don't know the numbers, we sure do. Chloe Koskoy sitting very, very well in first place. But that second and third place podium really up for grab in the women's field. Anything could happen here on this mystery women's 4 boulder. As we move forward to Natalia Grossman and her counterpart, Charlie Barron. Natalia moving quickly, making the left foot stop, right hand catch work. I'll tell you from experience, that move that she just did is very difficult, requires a very specific skill set. And she's making it look easy. Charlie Barron, quick work in a similar style as Hamish MacArthur, achieving the zone. Natalia at the top, smearing on the dual text. There is literally nothing there for her to be standing on, and yet she's not moving.
I think this is greatness observed from Natalia. Flash attempt, about to make a go for the top, maintaining composure. This is one of the great separators in climbing today. This ability to maintain composure as Charlie slipping for the top on the male slab.
Natalia matches for the finish. What a huge situation for Natalia to accomplish. That's going to shoot her right up in the rankings. Vital for Natalia to achieve, and she does. Clutch moment that you have to just figure is due to her experience in the field of this high-level competition climbing scene.
Clutch for sure, Cody. And I always like to say that climbing is a clutch sport. You're always under the gun. You're always running out of time. For Natalia to come out and make such quick work of women's 3 sets her up perfectly for boulder number 4, which will be the ultimate competition between her and Chloe. Now we have Charlie on the slab, trying with all his might to get to the top. He's attempted top once. He has the zone. We'll see. He has about 1:35 seconds to try and finish this boulder off. This is my favorite part about having a dual boulder, male and women, no change. You see the men going very explosive through this lower section. where the women were much more nuanced, much more technical, about the same amount of tops per category. But it's interesting to see the different ways in which the categories understand and try and complete this boulder.
And he does it. 40 seconds left. Charlie Barron, very, very exciting. And to your point, I can't wait during our quick intermission to look at these results and just see how the women's and men's field fared on the women's 1 and men's 3 respectively, because so far it truly does seem that we have a pretty even split in terms of attempts, in terms of tops, in terms of zones. Very, very fun and exciting to watch here for the folks in Salt Lake City and for you all hopefully at home.
I completely agree, Cody. And now we have Nakaya and Ross on boulders number 3. The standings can change pretty dramatically here. No one is out and running. No one is very far ahead. Everything depends on these climbers and how they do on men's and women's boulder number 3. Let's sit back and watch the greatness unfold. Ross getting up into that 4-point start. About to make his attempt towards zone. Nakaya trying to eye up that blind hold that she needs to go out and try and grab as she makes an attempt and slips off of that lead wall. Ross flashing to the zone, crossing up left hand into the micro crimp that will eventually be the hold that will propel him to the top jug. Let's see how he fares as he tries to take the necessary amount of time to build himself up. Goes for the jug slowly. Very easily snatches the final hold, executing that boulder perfectly in an effort that we have yet to see tonight on that slab boulder.
Now, some of you at home may have noticed Ross touched that black tape on his way, kind of squirming up to that left-hand hold right before the finish, that penultimate. Now, for those of you who really know your rules, what we do here at this type of event is that the black tape itself is not off. However, anything past the black tape is deemed valid. So Ross just simply brushing over the tape is not a problem. His attempt is still valid. His top is valid, just in case there was any confusion for folks at home.
And Nakaya Sanders, with about 1:50 remaining, has yet to make zone. Still trying to figure out the nuance of this move. We'll see how she fares on this attempt. Gaining data, gaining experience, gaining motivation for gaining that zone hold. Oftentimes it takes more than one attempt to succeed at what you want to do in life, but it's our persistence that matters. And Nakaya making that ever so apparent today at the dynamic bouldering competition in Salt Lake City at the Front Climbing Gym.
Nakaya achieving the zone, getting very physical, compressing, walking those feet up, keeping those heels in, those heels down, keeping hips close to the wall, trying to get as much of an advantage with her feet up high as she can. Looking at the top, eyeing it down with 45 seconds left. This will absolutely be her last strong attempt that she can get. Oh, and she falls right out. Is she going to go for it with just over 30 seconds remaining? This would be an impressive feat. There is no doubt about that.
Nakaya is going to try again. She will make one last attempt. She gains the jump that took her so many tries to achieve and falls just short of that. Cody, we're going to take a brief intermission to go switch out these boulder problems to the fourth boulders of this competition. We'll be quick with you shortly. In about 5 minutes, we'll be back with you.
And that's right. One more shot. Our sponsors, the Front Climbing, Vertical Solutions, Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Kicks, Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, and CE Solar. Men's Pro, Hamish McArthur, Fulkerson, Charlie Barons, Botron. Coming right after this. And we will be back after we change over these boulder problems. Don't turn away.
Think about the times you let me go. Falling through the cracks, emotional. I struggle to see what your reasons are. Sitting in your balance, silence breaks my heart. Turn the key, used to be our getaway car. Now I only wanna get away from where we are. Gotta find a way to you.
stay marvelous. Make it where you can't stay calm with this. Y'all can ring the alarm with this. F that, get wild off this. F that, get wild off this. My rap flow stay marvelous. Make it where you can't stay calm to this. Come on, y'all can ring the alarm to this. The US, the UK conference. Erasing whatever you doubt. Because there's something about when I gutter it out. Now tell me, is it really man of music? Ways that I do it makes him lose it. B-boys freestyle off this. Clubs get crucial off this. Laid back profile off this. F that, get wild off this. B-boys freestyle off this. Clubs get crucial off this. Laid back profile off this. F that, get wild 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 off this. F that. F that. Get wild off this. Get wild off this. Y'all can bring it along with this. Yes, UK conference.
And we have completed the changeover. There are two brand new boulders on the wall. Women's 4, men's 4, the grand finale of this bouldering championship. We both just went down there, took the boulders off the wall and put up new ones. Tell us about your experience.
Well, I'll tell you, Roy, I'm out of breath. That's a pretty quick changeover. We had about 15 minutes or so to switch over take off 4 boulder problems, put up 2 new ones, and then haul ass back up these 3 stories to get right back here with our viewers. Thank you all for tuning back in. And if you didn't leave us, even better. We wish you were here. If for nothing else, another this awesome swag that's getting tossed out to the crowd. Packed house here at the front, Salt Lake City, for Dynamic Bouldering Championship 2023.
Yeah, it's similar to a NASCAR pit crew where we have made these climbs previously, took them off of the wall and took photos and demarcated the hold orientations and such, took them off the wall to put up new climbs, and now mid-competition we took off the boulders that you saw previously and put up these ones in about 15 minutes. Now this is a scheduled and practiced effort and taking down the boulders and putting up the new ones. It's something that is a qualification among route setters to be able to do quickly, and we're excited to see the new boulders and the competition continue to proceed for their last challenge for all 12 competitors.
And here's the ranking for the Women's Pro Final. In first place, Chloe Koskoy, followed by Natalia Grossman with her clutch top of Women's 3, followed by Quinn Mason, Zoe Bitters, Allison Best, and Nakaya Sanders. We are poised for an exciting Women's Pro Final here on Women's number 4, as well as the top for the Men's Pro Final, Hamish MacArthur, followed by Ross Fulkerson, Charlie Barron, Xander Waller, Victor Baudron, and his brother Oscar. And yet another very exciting situation about to unfold before our very eyes. Roy.
Yeah, and I would say surprises across the board. I would have expected to see Ross and Natalia on top at this point. It'll be up to this last boulder to make sure who our winner is. It's certainly not decided yet, and it's pretty great in a climbing competition when the winner comes down to the final boulder. That's exactly what we have here today, Cody. The winner will be determined by their efforts and their success on this final boulder. Your thoughts?
Well, it's all boiling down. These boulders are hard. They are going to test. The competitors know that the pressure is on. They're back in isolation. They feel the tension's rising. The crowd is getting excited. We are poised for a very exciting finale here at the Bouldering Dynamic Championship here in Salt Lake City. At the front, sponsored by the Front Climbing Vertical Solution. Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Cakes, Price Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, and CE Solar. We are getting ready for the start of our competition. Our competitors are on the mats. The timer is set. The DJ is getting the crowd motivated. 3, 2, 1, and here we go. We are off on the last boulder problem here in Salt Lake City.
Zoe on boulder number 4, as well as Oscar for the men on boulder number 4. We'll see how they fare. Only time will tell how the cards will fall on boulder number 4. As route setters, we try to anticipate the performance of the competitors. Oftentimes they surprise us. We'll see if we've calculated correctly on these boulder number 4.
Zoe Bitters starting off strong, just falling off that crimp. That is a very small jib. Not much going on there with the left hand, as opposed to what's going on here on men's 4 with Oscar Baudron sticking that shoulder blast, setting himself up into this situation. Not many holds between him here in the top.
Now this is an interesting situation here for men's number 4. We actually anticipated them facing out, making a lunge move for this final hold. We'll see how Oscar fares. Meanwhile, Zoe giving her second attempt on boulder number 4. This is a pretty terrible crimp here that they're crossing into. And not only do they have to stop on that hold, but they have to really, really pull and engage on it in order to achieve the zone, which is the next hold after, followed by a foot stomp on the volume there that you can see on the rightmost white volume. Interesting boulders. They surprised us a lot in qualifiers. I think that the U.S. talent here, not only the U.S. athletes, but the few Canadians that we have here in finals, really surprised us with their abilities. I can say firsthand that the ability of these climbers has skyrocketed in recent years. And we'll see how Zoe does on this attempt as she's being pulled off for an improper start. You notice that she didn't place all 4 points on the start position there. Got a little excited, a little ahead of herself. All is good, though. She'll have a little bit of time remaining with these last attempts. We'll see how Zoe does.
And Roy, I just want to say that we have a special guest here in the studio. If you wouldn't mind just passing over your microphone here to Jeremiah Ho, USA Climbing's newest national chief route setter, joining us here in Salt Lake City. Him, myself, and other national chief route setter John Onks will be chiefing and instructing a clinic here for USA Climbing in just a few short days. They're joining us here for the excitement and the action. Jeremy, what can you say about your competition experience here so far?
Thanks, Cody. I mean, man, watching this round, you guys did a killer job. You got some of the nation's top athletes competing. It's been action-packed. I mean, man, like the walls are insane. The environment here is incredibly different. It's unique. It's super exciting. These athletes are going ham. It's just super cool. It's fun to be here, and the environment's cool. Always a pleasure to be here with you and the boys, hanging out and just enjoying a good time. There we go.
And there we go. Oscar Boudron with the top. Maybe it had something to do with J-Ho's here sitting in the booth with us. That man got inspired to pull hard. The Canadian with the top with just 30 seconds remaining. An incredible performance. And look at this here. We also have John Onks, who just walked. John Onks joining the booth. National Chief Setter here with USA Climbing. John, what's your experience so far here at the Dynamic Bouldering Championships?
Man, it's been great. Like watching the qualifiers yesterday was really inspiring. Really, really strong athletes here. Finals has been super exciting. Everybody's trying hard, pulling hard. You guys have done a great job.
Thank you very much. And based on your experience as a National Chief Fruit Setter, how would you say these boulders problems stack up to what you typically see in a field of national athletes?
Oh, I mean, right up at the top. Like the boulders are super challenging. A lot of different movement, a lot of different sequences to explore. Like pretty exciting. That first boulder was kind of fun to watch. Watching the guys figure out that sequence and kind of work their way through it. But so far, it's been a show. See how Chloe does here on this final boulder.
Chloe Koskoy just missing the stomp kick. John Onks, thank you so much for your insight. We're looking forward to working with you here in just a few short days.
Yeah, guys, you've done a great job tonight. Super psyched. Good job to all the setters on the crew.
Thank you very much. And back to Roy Quanstrom here with the play-by-play.
We've got Chloe Koskoy and Victor Trine here on boulder number 4. Oscar was able to top boulder number 4 in the final seconds of his round. We'll see how Victor does. We've yet to see a top for the women's category on boulder number 4. We'll see how Chloe can size up against this daunting task of a boulder number 4.
Those of you here in Salt Lake, but maybe not here with us in the venue, don't forget about our Citizens Comp and After Party happening this Saturday the 14th right here in Salt Lake City at this location. There will also be an after party at 7 p.m. Should be a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie, going to be a great time. I know I'll be here. Roy will also be here. A lot of folks in town for the USA Climbing, the Dynamic Bouldering Comp. We also have the outdoor retailer winter event going on. I mean, it is just a who's who of Salt Lake City right now, and I am very lucky to be a part of it. Roy, thank you so much also for being here. It's been a pleasure so far.
Thank you as well, Cody. I know it's been a formidable experience for myself individually, but I know as well as all of these national team athletes competing on this stage, readying themselves not only to try and win this competition, but also to move further onto the world stage. We now have Chloe and Victor attempting to give their best efforts on this boulder number 4. I saw Chloe bearing down earlier on this left-hand crimp. Let's see if she can make her way through to the zone hold. We'll watch and see. Now you gotta really kick the feet up to stomp that next volume. It's quite a tall order.
Yeah, I'd even go so far to say it's nearly counterintuitive, because once you grab onto that zone hold and your feet swing out, you want your feet to just swing naturally in this pendulum trajectory. But due to the height of that kick hold, you actually have to core up to bring yourself to stop and oppose that hand to that foot.
Yeah, and oftentimes in these high-level competitions, it's important to put either footholds or handholds in seemingly the wrong position in order to make the athletes have to do that much more to achieve a position. That's exactly what you see here on women's number 4. It's not exactly in the perfect position that you would want to stomp your foot, and that's exactly why that stomp hold is put there. You can see how she's missing that stomp hold. Hopefully we can see one of these elite female athletes and be able to get to that position and continue to pull through to the top.
Well, we have an interesting scenario now, I believe, with Chloe Koskoy not achieving the zone. This is setting up athletes coming right after her, notably Natalia Grossman, up for success. If Natalia tops this, now I don't have... She has a very fair shot at achieving the top place at the podium here at the Dynamic Bouldering Championships.
That adds up, Cody, and I'll just add to that, and that the pressure is continually mounting on Natalia Grossman. The addition and subtraction of zones and tops continually adding up to what could be a victory for any of these athletes coming out onto the mats, as Allison Vest gives her opening attempts on women's number 4, and Xander Waller easily moving through the opening sequences of boulder number 4. We'll see how he fares in his attempts.
Oh, he's going fast
All the way
Big
to
move,
the finish hold.
big fall.
We tried this method in forerunning, jumping all the way across the abyss there. It's possible, but very, very difficult. And Allison Vest achieves zone. We'll see how she does. Pulling towards the top. Allison Vest showing her competence here at the dynamic bouldering competition at the front. Falling as she goes for the top. Although it is an achievement in and of itself, gaining zone on this very difficult women's number 4.
Very all know how fine a line this podium is going to be. Xander going fast, staking the move, compressing on the volume. Very impressive by Xander Waller. Absolutely outstanding. The crowd going wild.
That's got to feel good for Xander, Cody. Just absolutely jumping through that void, grabbing the finish hold and matching. The response of the crowd, happy for that moment for Xander. We'll see how it shapes up in the final standings of this competition. I imagine it'll fare well for Xander, as he so well deserves.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting to see now, because he just has to sit back and watch. He no longer has to go back in isolation. The competition for him is now, in fact, over. He has the stress of watching the competitors after him compete, and that will ultimately determine his ranking. Allison Vest sticking the zone move once again. with a minute 20 left. Can she figure this out? This is some raw power. Allison Vest, Canadian national, digging deep.
Backing off a little here, Cody. Reconserving her energy, making this final attempt. There's a seam there between the volumes. We anticipated that the climbers would use that seam, crimp it, get a little bit higher, and go for the zone, or go for the top, I should say. It's going to be very difficult to go hold to hold, and it's going to require a lot of creativity from the athlete to use the volumes and use the usable surface available in order to achieve that top. I will say for Xander, has he done enough in the entirety of this bouldering competition to achieve a win? Only time will tell.
And you are absolutely right. And you know, the thing for Xander is, I was speaking with him earlier this week, he nearly did not sign up for this competition. He was very concerned about the level of the field. He also had a lot of things going on that he was uncertain if he'd be able to make it. And all of us here in Salt Lake are very excited to see that he did show up. He's putting on such a performance. And we're rooting for him here in the booth. Hopefully he's done enough with that top of men's 4.
And coming out on the mats, we have Quinn Mason, Hamish MacArthur, 2 outstanding climbers in the field. We will see how they stand against Boulder's 4. We had Xander with the top of Boulder 4. And we had Allison Vest achieving zone, but not quite making it to the top. We'll see how Quinn and Hamish fare on Boulder number 4. Very exciting here at the Front Climbing Club in Salt Lake City, Utah, where the heart of competition climbing exists in the United States.
And you can feel the beating here. Field. Dean going into the pocket. What that means, honestly, their entire climbing season coming up here in 2023. It is not cheap. For the international, considering World Cup. Oh my goodness, and Hamish absolutely to the wall with that last move. Will he figure out the volume compression? Will he figure out the slow press stand into that volume? There are a number of ways to do this. I would venture all relatively within a similar difficulty wheelhouse. However, it really depends on the climber's style at which method they would like to choose to achieve that top.
Yeah, Cody, I completely agree. Hamish is a very cerebral climber, very creative. I'm interested to see how he goes about trying to finish this boulder problem. Right now he's going after a very dynamic method.
Oh my goodness!
And he gets to the top. Just like that. That's how you do that one, Cody.
Right you are, and the crowd explodes for Hamish MacArthur. Now all eyes turn over to Quinn Mason. Sinking the toe hook, eyeing up that zone. Oh, and just not hitting that right foot stomp.
And it's just slipping off there, Cody. That is not a great usable surface there that her foot is slipping off of. It's not exactly what you want. It's sloping down. It's not relatively in-cut. It requires a very intentional and exact foot placement. We'll see if Quinn can figure that out by the time her round is done. And for all the spectators here, we hope that she can.
Absolutely. And it's an interesting note that you are talking about comfortability and positioning, because a lot of times when we're in the climbing gym, we're going in for our session, we're looking for things to feel a certain way. Well, with competition climbing, as route setters, we're also looking for things to feel a certain way. However, that is actually very different than what you might feel in your climbing gym. Things do feel more uncomfortable. They do feel more off balance, and in a way that you might not actually like it to be. But with all of that in consideration, we're balancing these these concepts of risk, intensity, and complexity. And just for clarification, I do not mean risk as in danger. Risk as in, what is the likelihood that your foot is going to slip or that you're going to stick this move? Those three concepts are really what we're toying with. I mean, thinking about it like a DJ, where they're moving up and down these dials and these levels. We are playing and toying with this. That way we can create the most diverse and exciting round of climbing possible for these athletes and for these spectators. It's very, very exciting indeed. Quinn with 15 seconds left. Will she give it another shot? She has 10 seconds. A zone would be absolutely massive for Quinn. 5 seconds. 4, 3. Oh, and just not enough time for Quinn Mason to achieve that zone.
It just goes to show the greatness of Allison Vest. Her ability to achieve that zone despite a very, very difficult sequence. Quinn Mason, an incredibly elite competition climber, unable to achieve the zone, only goes to show how great the efforts of Allison Vest are. Now we have the Natalia Grossman on women's boulder number 4. Eager to see how she fares. I have a feeling that zone will be no problem. However, atop, it's going to require a level of creativity and execution that we have yet to see in the field. Here she goes, as well as Charlie Barron on boulder number 4, brushing up the holds as Natalia achieves zone on her first attempt, tripping the seams in the Volin.
Hit. Top for Natalia Grossman. Natalia Grossman, ladies and gentlemen, topping women's for the crowd goes wild.
And there is the difference, Cody, between the field and the greatness of Natalia Grossman. Earlier in this week, she asked us for a much harder round. We'll see her feedback. I'm sure she will let us know. But in essence, that is victory for Natalia Grossman. We'll see how the men's field goes and how the rest of the women fare on this women's number 4. But right now, we are sitting and waiting to see how Charlie does on this men's number 4.
Charlie Barron would be very, very important to see a top for him here to make sure he gets that podium position. What ranking is TBD? I'm very excited to see what the women's 4. The math will end up very shortly here. We see Nakaya Sanders waiting in the wings, but I don't know even a top Nakaya will bump up Natalia from podium or even a here at the Dynamic Bouldering Championship City.
We have Charlie Barron pulling on for another attempt at men's 4. This first move is quite difficult. You can't see the hold here that he's going to, but it's a slightly in-cut hold on a volume. And palm pressing the cheetah boomerang there. Off of an opposition of a left toe hook. Jumping straight up into a press. Up into that hold on the volume. It's a very, very difficult move. And even the fact that so many of the male competitors have been able to achieve it is pretty excellent in and of itself.
Right you are. Charlie Barron, crowd favorite with 1 minute left. Staring down the zone, he knows what he needs to do. Compressing on that massive vertical solutions volume, trying a toe hook. Interesting beta from Charlie Barron. You love to see it. The diversity, the outward thinking, the inward reflection with 40 seconds left.
And as route setters, we rely on the creativity of the athletes to develop different sequences and different solutions to these problems. Unfortunately, that one didn't quite work out for Charlie. As he achieves the zone and makes an attempt for the top, let's see how Charlie fares on this final move. The crowd is currently going wild for Charlie as he jumps.
He has 10 seconds.
Into the last volume. 10 seconds.
6, 5, oh, and he drops the top. The crowd exasperated for Charlie Barron, but losing their collective minds at the effort that this man has put into this boulder problem.
Not quite enough for Charlie to achieve a top. Now it's down to Nakaya and Ross to finish us out. This will be the competition.
And here are our results so far. Hamish MacArthur, Xander Waller, Oscar Bertrand, Natalia Grossman has eked it out in first place, followed by Chloe Koskoy and Quinn Mason. With Nakaya topping this boulder, even a flash will not change the podium. So right there you will see our podium athletes. Gold medal to Natalia, followed by silver Chloe, and bronze by Quinn. Congratulations, women. But let's still see what these athletes have in store for us here. Nakaya Sanders pulling onto the wall. Ross Fulkerson pulling onto the wall. Salt Lake City going mad.
And it's all up to Ross right now as he achieves zone on his flash attempt.
Nakaya flashing the zone. Ross flashing the zone.
Pretty exciting here, Cody, as our last athletes are on the wall. Ross trying to win.
Nakaya drops it. Ross nearly takes out the photographer. She'll remember that one. That'll go in her photography book.
Hope she got a shot of him coming down almost on top of her. Ross will give his second attempt here after he brushes the holds. And we'll see how things shape up after Ross's round here. I expect that he'll continue to give maximum effort on this final boulder problem. Ross is a formidable athlete in and of himself on the national team, competing in many World Cups this season, even making a World Cup final here in Salt Lake City. As he eyes up the finish hold, calculating his sequence after zone. We'll see how he does, Cody.
Absolutely. And while we have a second, another shout out for our sponsors, the Front Climbing Club, Vertical Solutions, who built these beautiful walls and volumes for us to set on. Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Cakes, Price Right Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, and CE Solar. Thank you all very, very much for helping us create a fantastic event, for helping us bring back Dynamic for the first time in a number of years. This has been going on since 2014, nearly 10 years in the making. Nakaya Sanders getting real psyched at the top here of this boulder problem on women's 4. Will she find it? And the crowd goes nuts. Nakaya Sanders with the top.
Ross Fulkerson making it through to the zone yet again after pumping up the crowd a couple attempts before. We'll see how Ross fares on this final attempt.
All eyes on Ross with 1 minute left. He makes the physical stand. It may not look like much, but that is a very difficult move that Ross just pulled off. Stands into the corner with a bit of an Atlas maneuver there, if you will. And he
holds the top.
Does it! Ross Fulkerson with the top. Salt Lake erupts.
And there you have it, folks. Natalia Grossman is your champion in the women's field, the dynamic bouldering competition. We'll see how the man standing lines up. Right now, the unofficial results declare Hamish MacArthur as your winner, Xander Waller.
I don't know if that's quite updated yet.
It's not, no.
We still have Ross with no top. There we go.
There we go.
Bumps him up to silver from 4th. But it's no difference to Hamish MacArthur achieving the gold medal alongside Natalia Grossman. What a wonderful competition we've had here tonight, Roy.
Couldn't agree more, Cody. It's been competitive. It's been respectful. But most of all, it's been fair. And the playing field has proved worthy. And we have championships, soon to be champions, soon to be on the podium.
Looks like some of the athletes are going to have some fun here on women's 1, men 3. Oh my goodness. And it's just a party here over here in Salt Lake City at the Front Climbing Club. What an amazing environment, electric atmosphere. It really does pay to be out here in Salt Lake City.
Couldn't agree.
Does pay to be out here in Salt Lake City.
Couldn't agree more, Cody. This is the epicenter for elite climbing in the United States. The national team and USA Climbing residing here. And you can only see the efforts of the hard work put in by the athletes of the U.S. national team here on display at the Dynamic Bouldering Championships here in Salt Lake City.
Well, Roy, it's been an absolute pleasure commentating alongside you for the past few hours. It's been an absolute pleasure route setting with you over the past week. We've had some amazing times, had very fun and competitive boulders. You again in the future here. Say to you, good at the USA Climbing National Open Bouldering Championship coming up next November. Roy, you are on the crew. You're going to see a lot of these athletes. You know what now to expect. Best of luck to you and the crew, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again very, very soon.
Thanks, Cody, and I want to give a shout out to all the people watching here all over the country, as well as thank you equally for the incredible week of route setting, the insights shared, as well as the expression of all these incredible athletes on the boulders that we created. It's been a wonderful pleasure working alongside you and the rest of the team. Most notably, the senior route setter, Mike Bacchino, who's, I think we can agree, getting up there in age and doesn't have much time left here on Earth. We just want to wish him a happy farewell to life, and I hope that he remembers all of us and these times well in his life. And we remember him fondly. Michael Bacchino.
That was Roy Kwan, and I'm Cody Grodzki of Syndicate Route Setting and Consultation. Thank you all again. We look forward to seeing you again next year at the Bouldering Championship Dynamic in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Front Climbing Gym. Thank you all so much. Have a pleasant evening.
Sitting lonely in my room again, trying to find the words to say, but nothing comes out. I am looking for the better days, seem like they just stay away whenever I try. There's so many things that I keep in my mind. My friends keep me out and it hurts every time. With all the emotions I built up inside, oh why can't I? Will someone look for me if I disappear? No matter how much that I scream, nobody hears. But I see the light from far away, it's down the line. Maybe I should not give up without a fight, 'cause there will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time.
early in my room again, acting like I'm innocent. Why do I try? 'Cause now I'm feeling like a fool again, thinking I can fool myself by telling me lies. When there's so many things that I keep in my mind, I hang around people I don't even like. If they can be happy and walk with a smile, oh why can't I? Will someone look for me if I disappear? No matter how much that I scream, nobody hears. But I see the light from far away, it's down the line. Maybe I should not give up without a fight, 'cause there will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time. Oh, 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 oh. There will be a time. Will someone look for me if I disappear? No matter how much that I scream, nobody hears. But I see the light from far away, it's down the line. Maybe I should not give up without a fight, 'cause there will be a time.
And we've got some results coming here for you. The official results of the Dynamic Bouldering Championships. Going to bring them out one by one with their due respect and condolences for a very, very difficult round. A couple of days of climbing has been up to this point.
Sixth place, we have Victor Botran and Allison Vest.
Quick shout out to the great country of Canada, for showing up here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Canada, stand up.
I mean, you figured 12 finalists. Out of 12, 3 of them are Canadians. You do the math.
I will, and I would say that that's a high percentage of elite climbers coming out of the great nation of Canada. Obviously, their program is doing something right. I hope they continue to show out.
5th place, we have Nakaya Sanders, followed by Charlie Barron. We have crowd favorite Snowy Bitters.
As well as Xander Waller, who showed out quite tremendously tonight against a stacked field. We have our 2nd place finalist coming out as well, who is Ross Volkerson on the men's side. Certainly earned his place there.
Look at that. Cash money, $1,000.
And Chloe Koskoy in 2nd place, winning $2,000 for that place and that effort. And in 1st place, we have Hamish MacArthur. The crowd going nuts, confetti flying in the air on the men's side. And on the female side, we have your 1st place competitor, Natalia Grossman. Not surprising in the least, taking home all the cash, as well as victory and bragging rights for millennia here in Salt Lake City, Utah.
You may be wondering what are in those boxes. We have none other than WWE wrestling belts, 2023 Dynamic Bouldering Championships. The belts are up. Hamish, 3,000 in one hand, belt in the other. Natalia, no different. Smiles all around.
I'll tell you, it's not surprising. It's not parody. It's not acting. These are the best climbers from the last 2 days of competition. It goes without saying, greatness exists here in this gym, which is the Front Climbing Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Walls built by Vertical Solutions, supported by the various companies expressed here. Truly an incredible effort by all these athletes, all these competitors, the route setters, the volunteers, all of the things that make a competition like this work. I can speak for Cody and myself that we are in the deepest gratitude for the competitors, the volunteers, and the route setters that have made this whole thing possible. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you all. Thank you, Roy. One last shout out to our sponsors, the Front Climbing Club, Vertical Solutions, Visit Salt Lake, Kodiak Cakes, Price Right Real Estate, La Sportiva, Uinta Brewing, CE Solar. You've all been wonderful. Thank you so much. That was Roy Quanstrom. My name's Cody Grodsky of Syndicate Route Setting and Consultation. Thank you all for being here. Good night, and roll tide.